Sovtek's Fuzz War. Sovteks are battling each other. And this one is Scott's. This one is Scott's. This is Juan's. This is Juan's. So what we're going to do, these three are essentially the same. You guys can see there's no screws on the top of them. So that's a certain era. Tall font, I guess is what they call it. Mine has no paint left. This one has some paint left. This one's losing its paint. And then this is the Civil War one. I used to have one of these, but I got rid of it because I felt somebody else should use it because I didn't like mine. But I believe that even though these three are from the same era, I think you'll hear a difference in them, and we'll mess with the tones and the sweeps and stuff and check it out. Have you used this on tour?
I took it on tour briefly in like 2009 for a minute, and it was just a little bit touch and go. It was a little bit of a tone suck. I needed some kind of loop bypass thing, and I was like, I can't. This isn't going to work for me.
And then what about this one? Did you take?
That has never gone on tour. I brought it in the studio. Usually when there's a shootout between these two, this one works. I don't know. It's like a lot of it with producers and engineers. They're just like, it's like a lot. It's like visual. It's like when I bring this bass out. Right. It's just like, well, that's the bass, even though like they haven't heard it. You just get it in your head.
So this one is my main one that I've used for years and years and years. So that's my main. This is a backup that I bought to it. Now, I believe that all these sound different still, so you got to find one that actually sounds close to yours. And so this one, I've owned a few others, got rid of them. I've owned a few with the screws on top. They're a little too high-endy, not enough low-end. So anyway, yeah, these are the two guys that I've kept over the years. But
the paint job difference, man, is even different. Like we were just talking, like you can have 10 of them from the same year, but the paint's a little different. It's just a little bit kind of random, man.
Yeah, and what I've been told is that, when they were making these, even the pots in here will be different resistance. They just grab whatever parts they had in a box and would toss these things together. And I believe that this one for me was the one that whatever they did is just awesome. And I've had Matt from Ren and Cuff make me turn my back and A/B either his pedals or one with against the other, and I always know this one. And that's because they sound different. They're not consistent pedals. It's like instruments. This fretless sounds completely different than a bunch of other basses that I own or fretless basses I've ever owned that are in the same year or whatever. This is like the wobbling.
This has that button too, which is pretty.
So here we go. We're gonna start with Scott's first green muff. So let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so what we've done, just so you all know, they all have, as close as we could get, settings. The volumes are all the way up, the distortions are all the way up, and then the tones are backed around. So we're going to just keep running through. This is the Civil War. Sounds pretty tight. Okay, and then here's my baby, my favorite Russian. Here we go. Crazy. So you can even hear differences in the amount of hiss. This guy's pretty noisy. Let me just not play. Let's just hear the different hiss. That's super noisy. Yeah, mine are noisier. Who knows? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to affect the tone so we can just hear different tone settings. So let's go back to the number one, Scott, and you can just play, and I'll just start messing with the tone knobs. Go, number 2. Back to this one and see. I'm gonna really crank that tone all the way down like I did on this one.
Cool.
This one sounded awesome with the tone all that way. So I'm gonna try it with this guy. Here we go. I kind of found a sweet spot on this one where I think it sounded the best. And then this one, this had a lot of variety to it, man. Like all the way off was pretty good, and cranked it
and crazy for a minute, and
yeah.
Damn.
So then let's see what happens with mine. Go for it.
That pedal made me want to do some crazier shit.
Yeah, it's inspiring. You know, it's
pretty rad.
I love this guy, and you know, I always throw a Boss CS2 compressor before it, which kicks it up to something else. You know, they were two that were meant to be together, and so most of the time I use it that way. I rarely use it just this. But anyway, let's check out this last guy and my backup. See what happens.